if you put rat grade ammo through it, you're going to get rat grade performance, and you potentially might even mess the barrel up.
So like dropping military targets?
Yeah.
So like, I know it was an impact because I shot it and the thing dropped.
Seems interesting to you. Try it out. Let us know what you think. Corps Vision School for kids who can't read, shoot good, but also want to learn to do other things good too. Cut that out. Rifle setup. This is my competition rifle. I'm going to start with the components that comprise this competition rifle, and then why I chose them and how I set it up and why. So this is, it's every competition gun is what most of the tactical gun dudes call a Franken build, i.e. it's a custom rifle. It's a one-off. Everybody that's, shooting for points wants what they want because they know what they need. So name brand is a thing, but less so in this world. I'm shooting as a base this rifle, I guess if you were to call it, what gun is that? This is a Terminus Actions Zeus QC, or a Zeus quick change. It is a short action, Remington 700 short action pattern, meaning, and I did that because it will fit the widest array of chassis. The biggest, the one action pattern that everyone makes a chassis or stock for is the Remington 700. Other common patterns would be Tikka T3. That's probably the second most common I've seen. And then you can move to weird ones like Seikos, like TRG 22 and 42. But the two big ones, and Savages, Savage 10s or Savage Model 100s. I don't know what they call them now, they changed them. But 90% of the actions on the market in the US are 700 pattern. They're out of those two actions are short action and long action. Most competitions are done with short action, reason being the rounds that are the easiest to spot yourself, meaning they have the lowest recoil, all fit in a short action chassis. So that's that. Mine is chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor. This barrel it started as a Packnor blank. It is a polygonally rifled 1-in-8 twist. It's sitting at 25.5 inches. And it has had a harmonic structuring treatment done by TACOM HQ, which is where we are currently filming. They are kind enough to let us invade their shop for the afternoon and morning. We're really monopolizing their time, but they're really great dudes. They're like family to me, and they make some baller barrels as well as optics, content pertaining to which you will get to see in future videos we're doing. This barrel, I'm going to clear this and point it at you. There are no rounds in this. This is simply for display. Has been auxiliary drilled where it has several holes, radial holes, drilled all the way down to about here, an inch or inch and a half in front of the throat of the chamber. And what that does is, it takes about 30% of the weight out of this barrel. This barrel is 1.34 inches at its widest in outer diameter and 1.26 inches at its thinnest. It does taper in steps all the way down. So we've lost weight by removing that material. We've kept the rigidity despite the fact we've lost weight, and we've added about, on this one, probably about 350% more surface area. On top of all that, we've got dimples in here, which again reduce weight, retain rigidity, add surface area, and then I've got threading, essentially fins. It's a radiator. It's a giant heat sink. The thing cools off really rapidly, but keeps my barrel from whipping. Basically, I've gotten a lot of cooling and stiffness points without sacrificing weight. Like, I've kept the weight down and retained those positives. The chassis this thing is in, state of the barrel. At the end, I'm currently using a muzzle brake. I'm currently using is a Reardon manufacturing brake that is designed to accept a number of Plan B type silencers, which are made by pretty much everybody at this point. Arrow makes some great ones for some great prices. If you guys are interested in checking them out. I don't usually shoot this suppressed because it's long enough already. But why a brake? Aren't brakes for people with manginas, you might ask? In the tactical world, yeah, but in the precision shooting world, you're a goober if you're shooting with a flash hider or like no brake at all. In the precision shooting world, these things recoil way more than your 5.56 does, which is a 22 Magnum. And if you do not have somebody spotting for you, which a lot of like PRS and NRL don't allow, it's a single man event, you want to have the biggest amount of recoil mitigation so you're not blown off target. If you're taking a shot at a target, specifically a small target, especially a closer in target, if you miss, you want to know by how much. So you don't want to get blown off. You want to fire and have that recoil be the smallest event possible so you can see where your round went. And you can see where your round's going through a scope at distance and watch trace. Hopefully we'll get some of that on video. If not, we'll dig some B-roll up from online and maybe post it in, or maybe just come out to a class and see it yourself. So yeah, that's where I'm running a brake. Chassis, yeah. Okay, that was brake. Moving on to chassis. This is a KRG, or Kinetic Research Group Whiskey 3 folding chassis. You don't need the folder, probably, unless you're doing like a lot of backpacking stuff. I prefer to do tactical matches, which have moderate to long movements between shooting stages that you're doing on foot, and you can't use the gear that you don't carry. Meaning the lighter everything is and the smaller everything gets, the easier it is to transport from point A to point B. So I am using the folder. I love the folder, and it looks really cool. Honestly, I like the guys at KRG a lot. It's a good chassis, but the primary reason I use this chassis is because I think it looks awesome. That's the biggest reason. That being said, it is very ergonomic. If it looked awesome but didn't function, I would not touch it with a 10-foot pole. So it both looks awesome and works really well. I first saw one of these in 2014 when I was going through sniper school. One of our instructors had one, maybe a Gen 3 at a competition. His name was Tellez. Dude was cool. So these guys are, I kind of look up to these guys, and then this dude whips out the coolest bolt action I'd ever seen, and proceeded to ping steel while we were at the range. I mean, he didn't. You're not allowed to do that, so he totally didn't do that. The Whiskey 3 generally does not come with an enclosed fore-end. This is an aftermarket part. I use the enclosed fore-end because I teach with night vision, and I sometimes do demos or hunt with thermals, and I need a rail in front of my DVO or direct vis optic so I can see in the nighttime. From that, we've got a Arca Swiss rail on the bottom. This is something that another sniper school instructor of mine from back in the day, same class, sort of helped popularize. Arca Swiss has been used in the camera game for a long time. but a company called Really Right Stuff began making Arca components. They made tripods. They were like one of the first I'd known to use tripods for. Tripods have been used for shooting for a long time, but when a guy named Hennel came on board, he's like, hey, why don't we do this with guns? And so this was popularized. And initially, it was just an attachment point back here, so you could clip it onto your clip your gun into a tripod and move it around. Just have a really nice, secure anchor point. But they realized that they can make attachment points for bipods, which is a really cool feature because now I can clamp this thing on, have it locked in here, or bring it back here. Say I'm shooting off of a hood of a car or something like that. I only have so much surface area to use. I can slide this thing back and forth. I can slide this thing back and forth in the tripod. Basically allows a high degree of customizability with just the twist of a knob. They also make throw levers, but you get more fine tuning with a knob. Also this thing, which is made by Really Right Stuff, locks into pick rail too, so I have modularity built in with this setup. In essence, that concludes my precision rifle setup. I'll talk really quickly about the weight on this thing. Most precision rifles, let's say in PRS or NRL, guys want them to weigh anywhere from 20 to 25 pounds. And again, that comes back to the same reason we're running a brake. The heavier it is, the less it moves you off axis during a recoil event when you break your shot. This one is sitting at about 17 and a half. And due to the harmonic properties of the structured barrel, it really, I can spot impact as close as 200 if I've got a good enough position built. As far as modularity on the chassis, I've got an adjustable butt and I've got an adjustable comb height. That's pretty standard. Yeah, that basically covers my competition precision rifle setup and why I did everything. Oh, precision rifle setup and why. This scope is an AccuFire Prospectus Atro 20. It is a 2.5 to 20 power. The thing I most like about this probably is the magnification range. When you are building a precision rifle, the number one question I get when guys are building a precision rifle is, what magnification range should I use? What scope should I use? I'm not going to tell you what scope you should use. There's a lot of companies out there that I really like. My favorite three being this, AccuFire Tech, Leupold, and I actually like Vortex. I've used their stuff. Some people can harp on them. They say they are said to break a lot. I've known some guys that have had them break, but they're warranted really well. Sometimes I think the rep for them breaking a lot is because the warranty is good. People are like, well, the warranty must be so good because they break so much. So it's a little bit of like chicken and the egg scenario. I don't know enough about it to confirm it. I've used them. I've never had one break. They do tend to be on the heavy side. Most Vortex, like Razor HD Gen 2s and 3s, tend to be on the heavy side, but that is because of glass quality and clarity. You want a clearer optic, you have to have more pieces of glass to correct the error of the previous piece of glass. So yeah, Vortex, Leupold, and AccuFire Tech. Back to this scope. Primary question I get when asked what scope you need is, do I need a 3 to 18, or I'm shooting long range, so I probably need like a 5 to 25 or a 7 to 35. I would tell you generally go lower magnification range. This one I think is honestly perfect, because 2.5, shoot, I could shoot something at 20 yards if I had to, so long as the parallax was adjusted close. And this parallax does adjust pretty close. 20 power, I can make a shot out to further than a mile. Not that I'm shooting this thing further than a mile regularly, but it's plenty capable. The reason I say usually err on the side of small magnification range is you generally don't need the big magnification range. The only thing bigger magnification scopes generally have as an edge on smaller is A, it makes zeroing easier because you can just see your impacts a little bit better. They're bigger, they're clearer. B, since they tend to be larger, they have a bigger objective lens which gathers more light if they're using the right quality glass. Bigger lens gathers more light. The more zoomed in on your target that you are, the darker the image is going to get. That happens on every optic ever. Not going to get into the sciences why, but what I'm saying is apples to apples, if you got a 3:18 and you dialed it to 18 power, and you got a 5:25 and you dialed it to 18 power, the image on the 5:25 is going to be brighter on 18 power than the 18 is at 18 power, if that makes sense to you. So if that is important, buy accordingly. So I would say the mid-range on precision rifle optic is a 5:25. So if you don't know what to buy, 3:18, 5:25, or like 7:35 or something in those ranges, just go with the 5:25. But I primarily keep this thing at 1,200 yards or in, and 2.5 to 20 is more than enough for me. It's also light, a fairly compact package, has good tactile turret adjustments. I generally don't dial, so it's not a huge point for me, but it is a plus in that these guys have done well. And full disclosure, I do law enforcement sales for this company, and they sponsored me with this optic. So that's part of why I chose it, to be fair. But it's a good scope, it's light, it's got a great magnification range, phenomenal magnification range. It's got good turrets. It does have an illuminated reticle, and when you're shooting with thermals, that helps out a lot. Beyond that, that is why I chose this optic, and how you can choose the optic that is right for you based on your needs. Moving on.